To settle my husband's 12 billion yuan bad debts, I spent 8 years operating a sewing machine in Angola, known as the king of economic crime prisons. On the day of my release, he and my sister came to pick me up. As I was about to embrace him, my sister pushed me away forcefully, saying, "Don't touch my husband." After returning home, my 9-year-old daughter pointed at me and screamed, "I don't have a mother who's been in prison, you're so embarrassing." Seeing my sister wearing the wedding ring that should have been mine, and my daughter calling her mom, I realized that in these 8 years, I had lost far more than just my freedom. When my husband contemptuously handed me a cleaning contract with a monthly salary of 3,000 yuan, I smiled and dialed his archrival's number. "Lucas, you previously said that after my release, the position of financial director and 20% of the shares would be mine, does that still hold?" "My name is Evelyn, and I was once a top accountant in the industry. 8 years ago, to settle 12 billion yuan in bad debts for my husband Adrian's company, I forged flawless accounts, taking all the blame upon myself and receiving an 8-year prison sentence. The place of incarceration was Angola, known as the world's premier prison for economic criminals, housing former financial tycoons and capital magnates who once dominated the scene. Over 8 years, 2,910 days and nights, the sole belief sustaining my survival was Adrian's promise, "Evelyn, wait for me, when you get out, I'll hand over the entire G Group to you." I took a deep breath of S-City's slightly salty air, my eyes welling up as I looked toward the man leaning against a black Bentley not far away, my husband, Adrian. I practically dashed over, embracing him tightly with all the longing accumulated over 8 years. "Adrian, I'm back." I expected an equally forceful return hug, but the body in my arms was rigid as iron, with no response whatsoever. A cold hand suddenly pulled me off him with such force that I staggered half a step. It was my own sister Selina, linking arms with Adrian, her face full of undisguised disgust. She removed the expensive custom suit jacket from Adrian and tossed it on the ground like garbage. "I don't like others touching my husband." She deliberately emphasized the words "my husband." I was stunned, my mind blank. "Selina, you too." Adrian finally spoke, avoiding my gaze, his tone carrying a hint of impatience. "All right, get in the car, don't make a scene outside." "Make a scene?" I looked at him in disbelief. "Adrian, I served 8 years in prison for you. Is this how you treat me? On what grounds does she call you her husband?" Facing my questioning, Adrian furrowed his brows and perfunctorily said, "Selina was joking. For the company's image, externally, she's been standing in for you to accompany me at events, everyone's used to it." I couldn't very well say my wife is a reformed criminal, could I? The words reformed criminal felt like a dull knife repeatedly slicing into my heart. "So what?" My voice trembled. "So, we shouldn't make our relationship public for now." Back then, Adrian's company faced a broken capital chain, owing 12 billion in bad debts, and he was on the brink of imprisonment. I filled that 12 billion yuan hole for him, shouldered all the blame, leaving a legend in the finance world of a genius fallen, and spent 8 years in a sunless cell operating a sewing machine. In the end, I became a stain on his career? I bit my lip hard, tasting blood. Half believing, the car entered a luxurious villa district. Returning to that familiar riverside villa, as the door opened, a small figure rushed out, calling in a childish voice, "Mommy, you're back." It was my daughter Nia. My heart melted instantly, all grievances and pain forgotten. I opened my arms, tears in my eyes, stepping forward, "Nia, Mommy's back." But Nia, as if not seeing me, ran straight past and buried herself in Selina's arms, nuzzling her face affectionately. My arms froze mid-air, my blood seeming to solidify in that moment. Selina glanced at me smugly, holding Nia, and softly asked, "Darling, did you miss Mommy?" "Yes." Nia answered loudly. I couldn't hold back anymore, stepping forward to snatch my daughter back. "Nia, I'm your real mom." Startled by my action, Nia hid in Selina's arms, timidly looking at me, then her little face flushed red, and she pointed at me, screaming, "You're not my mom. I don't have a mom who's been in prison, you're so embarrassing, you reformed criminal." With a boom, my entire world collapsed. I looked at Selena wearing my favorite Chanel dress, the necklace around her neck that Adrian gave me for our wedding anniversary, holding my daughter with the air of the lady of the house, while my husband, who once swore eternal love, stood indifferently aside, as if watching a farce unrelated to him. I understood in an instant. These 8 years, it wasn't me serving time, it was them enjoying the luxurious life I exchanged for with my freedom. My home was long gone. That evening, I was assigned to the smallest nanny's room on the first floor of the villa, under the pretext that I had just returned and needed quiet recuperation. Adrian stood at the door, condescendingly laying out the rules. From today, externally, you're a distant cousin from the family, staying temporarily. Don't mention the past in front of Nia, she's young and can't handle it. Also, don't conflict with Selena, these years, she's worked hard taking care of the home and company. Each word felt like a lingering death to my heart. I looked at him, this man I had loved for 10 years, now utterly changed and terrifyingly unfamiliar. Adrian, what about my room? I asked hoarsely. Our master bedroom was filled with past memories. His eyes dodged. Selena has gotten used to it, make do for now. I said nothing more, just letting out a low, cold laugh. After finishing his instructions, he hastily left as if fleeing, unwilling to stay a second longer. Over the next 3 days, I lived in this house like an invisible person. Selena flaunted daily in front of me, deliberately linking arms with Adrian, kissing his cheek, then provocatively glancing at me. On the living room wall hung their family portrait of the three, where they smiled so happily, as if I were the superfluous outsider. So, the story of the cuckoo occupying the magpie's nest had truly happened to me. With 8 years of my youth, I exchanged for my husband's soaring career, my sister's life as a wealthy wife, my daughter's disdain, sacrificing only myself. That day, Adrian came home and tossed a labor contract in front of me. This is a contract for the company's cleaning department, monthly salary of $3,000, including meals and accommodation. You've just gotten out, find something to do first, don't overthink. Looking at the words cleaner on the contract, I laughed in anger. I, Evelyn, was once a genius accountant renowned in S-City, able to find any flaw in mountains of accounts. In Angola, that gathering place of the nation's economic criminals, my accounting skills were at a masterful level. Now, my husband wanted me to be a cleaner in his company, a tremendous irony. I didn't lose composure in front of him, just silently watching him. Seeing me hesitate to sign, Adrian's patience ran out. Evelyn, don't be ungrateful. You've been in prison, with a stain on your record, who else would hire you besides me? Is that so? I lifted my head, calmly looking at him. What if I say no? His face darkened instantly. Evelyn, you'd better understand your current status. You're no longer the director Evelyn from 8 years ago, now you have nothing. In this home, I call the shots. With that, he turned and left. Selena happened to come down from upstairs with a bowl of bird's nest soup, tenderly offering it to Adrian's mouth. Honey, tired? I stewed bird's nest for you, try it quickly. Adrian's expression immediately brightened, indulgently scraping her nose. You're so thoughtful. I clenched the contract in my hand, nails digging deep into my palm. Nothing? No. I still have these skills they fear. If I could pull you from the abyss back then, now I can personally push you back in. To probe the current details of Adrian's company, I ultimately signed that humiliating contract. On my first day at work, I became the laughingstock of the entire company. Heard? That new cleaner is Adrian's wife's distant cousin, and a reformed criminal. Really? Adrian's too kind, daring to hire someone like that? Who says not? But look at her, so rustic, clearly just out of prison, bad luck. I listened expressionlessly to these discussions, silently mopping the floor, but they would deliberately walk over the freshly mopped areas, even spilling coffee. 8 years later, Adrian's company had undergone a complete transformation, expanding more than tenfold. I had to secretly gather evidence in the finance office early in the morning when no one was around. Selena intensified her behavior, parachuting into the company as the boss's wife and becoming my direct superior, bossing me around daily. Evelyn, this coffee is too hot, brew it again. Evelyn, there's a hair here. Come pick it up. Evelyn, go clean the toilet, it disgusts me. She dumped all the dirty and tiring work on me, scolding me in front of the whole office at the slightest dissatisfaction. I endured it all, because each extra day allowed me to grasp more of the company's core data. Both Adrian and Selena thought I had been worn down, with no guard against me. That evening, the company had an important business banquet, with the partner being the industry giant HS Group. Near closing time, Selena clicked over in high heels, tossing car keys on the table. Tonight, come with us, you're in charge of driving. She paused, adding, don't wear that, you look like a beggar. Change into this. She threw over a bag containing the cheapest professional suit, outdated style like a waiter's uniform. I sneered inwardly but obediently changed. The banquet was at the top hotel by the Huangpu River. Adrian and Selena wore meticulously tailored couples formal wear, a handsome man and beautiful woman, receiving everyone's flattery and envy. Adrian and Mrs. Gu are truly a match made in heaven. Yes, Mrs. Selena is not only beautiful but capable, Adrian is so fortunate. Selena leaned against Adrian like a little bird, laughing vivaciously. Adrian's face was full of enjoyment and self-satisfaction. Wearing that ill-fitting uniform, like a true servant, I was placed in the corner, responsible for pouring their wine and driving. During the meal, HS Group CEO Charles joked, Adrian, I remember you once said your wife is a very capable financial expert, why didn't you bring her today? As soon as he spoke, all eyes focused on Adrian. Adrian's smile stiffened momentarily, then he looked at Selena with doting eyes, my wife is right here. As for the previous one, we divorced long ago, no need to mention it. He glanced in my direction, his eyes carrying a hint of warning and contempt, as if saying, heard that? You're no longer my wife. In that moment, I felt stripped naked and thrown before the crowd for wanton humiliation. So, in his heart, I was already a divorced past tense. I picked up my wine glass, downing the red wine in one gulp. The spicy liquid slid down my throat but couldn't suppress the surging hatred in my heart. Midway through the banquet, I went to the restroom to compose myself. At the corridor corner, I overheard Adrian and Charles's conversation. Adrian, your bid for the southern city land is sincere, but we still need to consider further. Charles, rest assured, you know our company's strength. Moreover, I guarantee our submitted financial model is absolutely optimal, without any flaws. Adrian's voice carried a subtle tension. My heart stirred. That southern city land, I had planned it for Adrian 8 years ago, it was a golden project worth tens of billions. After they left, I dialed a number sealed for 8 years. When connected, a deep, magnetic male voice came from the other end. Hello? Lucas, hello, this is Evelyn. Lucas on the other end clearly paused, then chuckled, Miss Evelyn? What a rare guest. So, out from Angola, had a change of heart, willing to come to me? Lucas, president of HS Group, was also Adrian's top competitor for 8 years. Before my imprisonment, he personally approached me, offering a sky-high salary and company shares to jump ship. I refused. Lucas, I suppressed the turmoil in my heart, my voice calm and firm, does the offer from back then still stand? I not only want the financial director position, but I also need you to help me with something. Leaving the hotel, I didn't return to the villa. I found a hotel outside, stayed up all night organizing all my knowledge of Adrian's company over 8 years, along with a new financial analysis model for the Southern City project, and sent it to Lucas. Early the next morning, I received Lucas's reply, 3 p.m., HS Group headquarters, I'll wait for you. Looking at my phone, I felt a post-storm clarity for the first time. But this ease didn't last long. At noon, my door was pounded loudly. Opening it, Adrian and Selena stood outside fuming. Evelyn. Where the hell were you last night? Adrian pushed me aside and barged in. Selena followed behind, spotting my suitcase on the bed, and screamed, Sis, what does this mean? Are you running away from home? Do you deserve my husband's care for you these years? Looking at their coordinated ugly faces, I found it laughable. That's not my home, and I'm not your sister. I responded coldly. My attitude thoroughly enraged Adrian. He grabbed my wrist with such force it nearly crushed my bones. Evelyn, you've grown bold, huh? You think you can survive without me? At that moment, Selena suddenly clutched her neck, letting out a gasp. Ah! My necklace! My ocean heart is gone. She frantically rummaged through her handbag, tears coming instantly. Honey, that's the birthday gift you spent $50 million to auction for me, how could it be missing? Alarm bells rang in my mind. Sure enough, the next second, Selena pointed at my suitcase on the bed. It must be with her. Last night at the banquet, she kept staring at my necklace. She must hold a grudge and stole it. Adrian's face changed instantly. He snatched my suitcase, violently dumping everything on the ground, some changes of clothes, a few professional books, and the only photo of me and Nia that I had treasured for 8 years. Amid the pile of items, a dazzling blue sapphire necklace sparkled glaringly, the ocean heart. Shocked, I stared at the necklace, suddenly meeting Selena's triumphant gaze. You're framing me. I roared at her. Caught red-handed, and you still want to quibble? Adrian's voice held no warmth, only bone-chilling disgust. He approached me step by step, his eyes looking at me like an irredeemable piece of trash. I thought 8 years in prison would reform you. I didn't expect your nature to be unchangeable. You're still a thief. I didn't. I instinctively explained to him, Adrian, believe me, I didn't take it. But my explanation seemed so pale and powerless before the glaring facts. He looked at me, anger and disappointment intertwining in his eyes. Then, he raised his hand. Slap. A crisp sound as he fiercely slapped my face. The burning pain spread from my cheek to my heart, completely shattering my last ridiculous illusion about him. Covering my face, looking at this man I once loved with my life, I laughed. Adrian, you're something. I slowly straightened up, picked up my phone from the ground, and in front of him, opened the recording interface. Since you're convinced I stole it, then call the police. He looked at the ongoing recording on my phone, his face changing as he furrowed his brows, but made no move. In the prolonged stare, I finally saw this man's hypocrisy and cowardice. After a while, Adrian snorted coldly, unreasonable. He turned, embracing the still sobbing Selena, gently coaxing her away, as if I were some filthy plague. In the room, only I remained, along with the mess on the floor. I slowly squatted down, picked up the dirted mother-daughter photo that had been stepped on, and wiped it clean bit by bit with my sleeve. Then, I took out another phone, photographed the substitution agreement I had hidden for 8 years, along with a pre-drafted complaint for bigamy, and sent them to Adrian. And attached the text, Adrian, wishing you and Selena 100 years of harmony, and no descendants. See you at 3 p.m. at the Civil Affairs Bureau for the divorce certificate, otherwise, see you in court. If not, I don't mind letting all of S-City know how you, the great President Adrian, built your billion-dollar fortune by having your wife take the fall and serve time. Scumbag and bitch, locked tight forever. The moment the message was sent, Adrian's call came in like a death knell. I directly blacklisted Adrian's number and shut off the phone. Carrying my suitcase, I took a taxi straight to HS Group headquarters. Sitting in Lucas's spacious and bright office, I let out a deep breath. These days since leaving Angola felt like an unending nightmare. I couldn't believe how foolish I was back then, gambling my entire life on one man. Lucas poured me a cup of hot tea, his deep eyes carrying a hint of inquiry. Had a change of heart? Yes. I nodded. Lucas, I need a platform, one that can completely crush Adrian underfoot. He chuckled lightly, pushing a pre-prepared contract toward me. HS Group Chief Financial Officer, annual salary of $8 million, plus 10% dry shares. As long as you help me secure the Southern City project and make HS market value exceed GU Group within a year, all this is yours. Looking at the contract, my eyes stung a bit. 8 years ago, I missed this opportunity. 8 years later, I wouldn't miss it again. Thank you, Lucas. Call me Lucas. He looked at me. Evelyn, I don't do charity. I'm giving you this opportunity because I see your value. I hope we are partners. I solemnly signed my name. From today, I am no longer someone's wife or mother, I am just Evelyn, living for myself. Turning the phone back on, it was filled with countless messages from Adrian using unknown numbers. Evelyn, are you crazy? What are you fussing about? When did I agree to divorce? You dare threaten me? You think exposure benefits you? Don't forget Nia is my daughter too. Evelyn, I was wrong, come back, okay? Let's talk properly. It's all Selena's fault, I've already scolded her. I only replied with 2 words, get lost. Then blacklisted all unknown numbers. Although Adrian didn't come to the Civil Affairs Bureau, I knew he would soon pay a heavy price for his actions. On my first day at work, I led HS finance team to reformulate the bidding plan for the Southern City project based on my new model. Meanwhile, Goo Group's Facebook was buzzing. Selena ostentatiously posted a photo with Adrian, captioned, "Some people can't stand others' happiness, trying to destroy our relationship with despicable means. Unfortunately, it only brings our hearts closer. Honey, I love you." Seconds later, Adrian liked it and commented, "I love you too." Looking at that glaring Facebook post, my heart was unmoved. I logged out of Facebook and poured all my energy into work. 3 days later, the Southern City project bidding results were announced. HS Group won. As the news spread, Goo Group's stock price plummeted, evaporating nearly $10 billion in market value in one day. And this was just the beginning. After securing the Southern City project, Lucas held a grand welcome party for me at the company and publicly announced my appointment as Chief Financial Officer. This was undoubtedly declaring to the entire industry, Evelyn is back. Adrian called almost immediately, his voice full of rage. Evelyn. You actually defected to Lucas? Where does that leave my face? Even now, he cared about his ridiculous pride. As for the suffering I endured these 8 years, he had long forgotten. Adrian, I think you're mistaken. My tone was flat. First, we have no relationship anymore. Second, where I work is my freedom. Aren't you doing all this because of me and Selena? He softened his tone, playing the emotional card. Evelyn, I know I was wrong, come back, I'll make Selena move out immediately, and the home will be yours to rule. I almost laughed out loud. So he thought all this was just a petty trick to force him to change his mind. Adrian, I hope you understand, the divorce, I'm serious. As for you and Selena, you can stay locked together, just don't come out harming others. With that, without waiting for his response, I hung up. Nearby, Lucas raised an eyebrow. Seems he hasn't realized the severity yet. I sipped my coffee and shrugged. He'll know soon enough. In the following month, using my knowledge of Goo Group's finances and the unconventional financial techniques learned in Angola prison, I launched a full-scale attack on Adrian's company. I precisely identified several Goo Group projects that appeared glamorous but were actually depleted, and anonymously leaked evidence to financial media. Once the negative news broke, Goo's stock price avalanche again. Banks started demanding loans, partners cancelled contracts one after another, and the company was in internal panic. Adrian was overwhelmed, seeking help everywhere but hitting walls. And at his most desperate, a video suddenly exploded online. The video showed the court sentencing scene from 8 years ago, me in prison uniform, standing haggardly at the defendant's stand. The post was from Selena's alt account, with highly inflammatory caption, "Shocking. HS Group's new CFO is a financial fraud convict. Do you dare trust financial reports made by such a person? HS Group, Lucas." Instantly, I and HS Group were thrust into the spotlight. Lucas called me immediately, his tone carrying concern. "Are you okay?" "The PR department is handling it." "I'm fine." Looking at the vile online insults, my heart was unusually calm. "Lucas, thank you. but this matter, I want to handle myself. This was them forcing me. I logged into my Facebook account and used for 8 years and posted the substitution agreement signed by Adrian, along with his handwritten repentance letter and promise from back then, unaltered. I'd been in prison, yes. But for whom? Goo Group, Adrian, do you remember 8 years ago, how you knelt begging me, saying you couldn't live without me, without this home? Once posted on Facebook, public opinion reversed dramatically. After I made all evidence public, Adrian panicked completely. He called me hundreds of times in one day, I answered none. He came to block me downstairs at HS Group but was stopped by security. He even found my rented apartment, pounding the door like a madman. Evelyn. Open the door, Evelyn. I know I was wrong. Listen to my explanation. I put on headphones, turned the music to maximum, blocking out the nauseating sounds outside. Only when security came and forcibly dragged him away did the world finally quiet. The next day, I went to work as usual. Just arriving at the underground garage, a familiar car blocked my path. Adrian got out, unseen for days. He looked haggard, with heavy dark circles, the once spirited Adrian now like a stray dog. He rushed to me in a few steps, without his former arrogance, dropping to his knees with a thud. Evelyn, I was wrong, really wrong. Hugging my legs, he cried with snot and tears, it was all that bitch Selena seducing me. She said she'd take good care of me and Nia in your place. I was momentarily confused. The one I love in my heart has always been you. Evelyn, forgive me, okay? Let's remarry. I'll cut ties with that bitch immediately, transfer all company shares to you, and we'll be like before, okay? I looked down at him, at this extremely hypocritical performance, my stomach churning. Adrian. I pulled my leg away, stepping back to keep distance. You seem to have forgotten, all along, it was me taking care of you. His crying paused, staring blankly at me. You don't need to say more, nor explain, I looked at him calmly. We can't go back. No. We can. Evelyn, we can go back. Excitedly, he tried to grab me again. Is that so? I sneered. What about Nia? When she pointed at me calling me a reformed criminal, where were you? When Selena framed me for stealing the necklace and you slapped me, where were you then? Adrian, some hurts, once done, are done, not erased by a simple I was wrong. I bypassed him, preparing to leave. But he hugged me tightly from behind, his voice trembling with despair. Don't go, Evelyn, please don't. Without you, I'll really die. With all my strength, I elbowed his abdomen, breaking free. The next second, Lucas's car stopped nearby. He got out, shielding me behind him, coldly looking at Adrian on the ground. Adrian, have some dignity. Seeing Lucas, Adrian's bloodshot eyes ignited with jealousy. Lucas. This is family business between me and my wife, no place for an outsider like you. Lucas smiled sarcastically. Evelyn is now my employee and my most important partner, her matters are my matters. And don't forget, she's already sued for divorce. Stop calling her wife, it's disgusting. Adrian's wife-chasing drama ended embarrassingly due to Lucas's appearance. But he didn't give up. He started playing the child card. He brought Nia, waiting daily downstairs at my apartment. Coming home from work, I'd see the father-daughter pair pitifully standing in the cold wind. Mommy. Nia saw me and timidly called. My steps paused, my heart inevitably aching. Seeing this, Adrian immediately pushed Nia forward. Nia, quick, tell your mom you miss her a lot. Nia looked at me, big eyes filled with tears, grabbing my hem softly saying, Mommy, come home with Daddy, I don't want you and Daddy to separate. Teacher says kids without moms get bullied. I squatted down, looking into my daughter's eyes. On this little face so like mine, I saw no sincere longing, only fear and confusion instigated by adults. My heart completely cooled. Nia. I gently removed her hand. The ones bullying you aren't teachers or classmates, but your dad, and that aunt you've called mom for 8 years. I won't go home with you. Because that place is no longer my home. You don't need a reformed criminal mom either. With that, I stood up, walked into the apartment building without looking back, silently tears streaming. Behind me came Nia's heart-wrenching cries and Adrian's furious curses. I knew I was cruel, but better short pain than long. A child raised in lies and schemes, following such parents, would only ruin her life. All I could do was stay away. After the plan using the child to win me back failed, Adrian finally played his trump card. He sued Selena in court for embezzlement and commercial espionage, pushing all the company's messes onto her to show loyalty to me. The day Selena was taken by police, she struggled to make one last call to me. On the phone, she roared madly, "Evelyn! You venomous woman! I took care of your man and child for 8 years, and this is how you treat me. Even as a ghost, I won't let you go." I listened quietly until it was hung up, then softly said, "Likewise. When you occupied the nest back then, did you ever think of today?" Having dealt with Selena, Adrian thought I would change my mind. Holding roses and a diamond ring, downstairs at HS Group, in front of everyone, he proposed to me. "Evelyn, give me another chance. I swear, from now on, my life is yours." Onlookers discussed, some even cheering except him. Looking at his affectionate face, I found it utterly ironic. I took the roses from him, then, in front of him, tore the petals one by one and threw them at his feet. "Adrian, put away this act. You don't love me, you love the tool that settled your 12 billion bad debts, got your company listed, and let you sleep easy. Now, this tool no longer wants to serve you." I threw the large diamond ring back into his arms. "As for your life, save it for proper repentance in prison." My words, like a bucket of cold water, extinguished all his passion and hope. He stood stunned, face pale as paper. I didn't glance at him again, turning into the building. Days later, my lawsuit against Adrian for bigamy and commercial fraud officially went to trial. In court, I submitted all evidence of Adrian living with Selena as husband and wife during my imprisonment, purchasing property, and maliciously transferring assets to evade debts. The evidence was ironclad. Adrian was convicted of bigamy and, for multiple financial crimes, sentenced to 15 years imprisonment cumulatively. All his illegal gains and transferred assets were frozen and prioritized for compensating my 8 years of mental and economic losses. At the moment of sentencing, Adrian looked at me, eyes full of despair and reluctance. His lips moved silently, saying 3 words, "I love you." I understood, but just smiled faintly, turned, and left the courtroom without regret. Love? Too late. Both Adrian and Selena went to prison, and GU Group declared bankruptcy and liquidation. A nearly 10-year grudge finally settled. I stood by the Huangpu River, evening breeze lifting my long hair. Lucas stood beside me, handing me a warm milk tea. "It's all over," he said. "Yes, it's all over." Looking at the glittering lights reflected on the river, I felt unprecedented ease. "What are your plans next?" he asked. I turned to him, smiling. "First, give myself a vacation, how about traveling the world?" He smiled too, eyes like stars. "Good idea, need a guide?" "Free of charge." I didn't answer, just tilted my head and sipped the milk tea. Very sweet. My own clear skies after the rain, a brand new day, had finally arrived. And for some people, their skies would never brighten again. After release, I visited Nia at the orphanage once. With Adrian and Selena both imprisoned, she became a de facto orphan. From a great distance, I saw her playing with other children, her face bearing the innocent smile appropriate for her age. Perhaps leaving that environment full of lies and schemes was the best outcome for her. I didn't approach to disturb her. I just silently left her a trust fund, enough for her to live carefree until adulthood. At the moment of turning to leave, I seemed to hear a timid mommy from behind. I didn't look back. Evelyn's life had turned a new page. I would no longer stop for anyone.